As I understand, you're going to be meeting with the Canadian Foreign Minister, Christopher Phelan, just a short time from now. One of the countries that's really pretty upset with us is Canada right now because of these 232 so-called tariffs that have been imposed because of national security concerns about Canada. What are you going to say to her?
Well, quite frankly, I'm going to say the president's language does not represent America's views. We believe in working with our allies. We may have differences, and we believe that these differences need to be addressed, but we don't do what President Trump did and walk away from our traditional allies and embrace those who are our enemies. So I hope it's a meeting that we reestablish the lines of communication and friendship. Canada is critically important to the United States, and the United States is critically important to Canada.
So for some years now, Senator, the president really has taken the lead on trade. But after all, the Constitution does say that it's ultimately up to the Senate, the Congress, to really set tariffs and to determine our borders. Is the Senate willing to move forward now to really curtail presidential authority here? We have your colleague, Senator Corker, with a bill there. Is it time to shift the balance more toward your end of Pennsylvania Avenue?
I think clearly the Congress needs to act as an independent voice with this administration. I think the way that President Trump is conducting foreign policy, trade policy, is not representative of America, and I think the United States Congress needs to weigh in. So I hope that we can have votes on the floor of the Senate. I know Senator Corker's trying to get a vote on his amendment, but I think Congress needs to reassert itself and say the way the president's conducting these foreign policies is not what America's about.
So how will you go about doing that? Because we know that it's been blocked from being added to the annual defense bill. So you will have to find another avenue. And we're also hearing from reports from the Wall Street Journal that the White House is going to try to block that ZTE language on that Chinese company. There was another amendment introduced by Senator Chris Van Hollen on trying to undo relieving sanctions for ZTE. So it seems that Congress has been very shut out of the whole process. How are you going to go about and technically just do it?
Well, you're absolutely right about the ZTE provision got into the manager's package without too much controversy among my colleagues. That's an important provision. Senator Corker's amendment's an important point on dealing with the use of our national security waiver. Look, Congress needs to reassert itself. The Republican leadership, which controls both the House and Senate, need to recognize that the framers of our Constitution envisioned an independent legislative branch of government. It's time that we act that way. It's time that we take up these issues and let's vote on them. I expect the reason why Mitch McConnell doesn't want votes is that these votes will pass on the floor of the United States Senate, as they should, to stand up against President Trump when he's wrong.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about China as well, because the White House planning to block in some way the ZTE language in the defense bill. We know that China, of course, is a patron of North Korea. Should we be expecting more trade tensions just because of the Chinese leverage in this separate issue?
Well, look, our relationship with China has multiple facets to it. We've got to be able to do more than one thing at a time. Yes, we need China in regards to North Korea, although, quite frankly, I'm not sure how that was handled during the summit. And yes, we do have concerns about China on trade, and we have to be able to act when China is wrong on trade. We also have problems with China on the China seas. We also have problems with China on human rights issues. We've got to be able to handle these different aspects of this relationship, and quite frankly, we got to be strong.
So I guess I really want to know, Senator, are they different aspects or are they part of the same thing? Is this administration really linking them up directly? And I'll be very specific. Supposedly we're going to have these tariffs on this $50 billion worth of shipments in from China coming up on Friday. Is it possible that those will be suspended or modified because of what happened at the summit over in Singapore?
Well, if you look at ZTE, it certainly looks like the president was combining a national security issue concerning trade with North Korea in a way that was totally unacceptable. So I don't know. I can't tell you what the Trump administration is going to do. I can tell you that I would hope that we would stand up and say no if he tries to say that China can continue its abusive trade practices, and that's okay with us. That's not okay with us.
And North Korean state media now reporting that leader Kim Jong Un said that in the summit, the president had promised to lift sanctions. You are pretty optimistic about some diplomatic solution, and you favored a diplomatic solution. Are you concerned that the president might have overcommitted?
Well, let me clarify. I'm not sure I'm optimistic, but I do favor the diplomatic path. That's the way we can resolve this issue. It's going to be difficult. It's not going to come quickly, but it comes with the United States maintaining a strong position. No concessions until North Korea makes definitive action to get rid of their nuclear program. It starts with a declaration of their nuclear program, an opportunity to inspect. It also deals with the missile programs and a plan to dismantle. And until that takes place, there should be no concessions. I think the president has already made concessions by meeting with Kim Jong Un and changing our military exercises in the region. If we give sanction relief now without concrete steps taken by Kim Jong Un in North Korea, to me, that's a major mistake. We can't trust what he says. We got to see action.